Well, there you have it. This is Andy Alberti once again with another book report having to do with things that I've read that I think you might find interesting. And this week, the book that I've read is called Free at Last. And it isn't what you would think. It's not about slavery or uh, bondage or anything like that. It's not even a mystery. Well, maybe it is a mystery if you've never looked at it, but it's about money, your money and my money, and how it works. Not really that, how Congress wants all your money, and the old saying about they're going to have a one-page tax form, and it'll only be like a postcard, and the wording on the postcard will be, how much did you make? Send it in. Well, we're headed in that direction, folks. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, has said he wants real tax reform for the middle class. And it's all your money. And the old saying about they're going to have a one-page tax form, and it'll only be like a postcard, and the wording on the postcard will be, how much did you make? Send it in. Well, we're headed in that direction, folks. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, has said he wants real tax reform for the middle class. And it seems like once Congress gets hold of it, tax reform means that they want more of your money. So that's what this book is about. And Congress right now, as I record this, is working on, quote unquote, tax reduction, as the president has requested. And maybe instead of having Congress issue you a tax reduction and leaving more money in your pocket, maybe you can take care of this yourself without changing anything in your income other than the way you approach reporting your income or determining who you are and what you are. So you need to protect your income from their taxes, from their efforts to take your money and give it to someone else who doesn't deserve it, who just gets your money because they exist. There's no such thing as just existing. Anyway, that's what this book is about. And it seems like Congress isn't very interested in letting you keep more of your money. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a way that you could look at the way this all works and understand it and respond to it? And I'm going to give you a little sample of what's in this book. It says, I'm going to read the back cover. I didn't write this, and if I was writing it, I would have done it differently, but we'll start with this from the author. When the average person fills out a tax return, false information provided which creates a tax liability which that person does not actually owe. Stop lying to the IRS and the tax goes away. However, if you must know the simple way to communicate the truth to the IRS, then it becomes illegal to tax you and they will not even try. Now, I have to admit I haven't done this, but I know the author personally. U.S. citizens have no rights, they only have privileges. And U.S. citizens pay all of the taxes. When you hear that the corporation is being taxed, that's a pass-through expense that you, the citizens, pay anyway. You pay it to the corporation sends it to the government. The citizens owe all of the government debts. In this simple 15-minute process of eliminating your tax liability, you can also claim all of your constitutional rights and cannot be taxed. This applies to common wages as well as 1099 taxes and to all ethnic groups of people. Nothing is as it appears, and how aren't we finding that out these days? There are actually two governments known as the United States, each with its own citizens and its own laws. There are legally two of you. Free at Last, this book, clearly explains how and why this came to be. You cannot function effectively in this world without this basic knowledge. And I can tell you, I know people who have bought this book and have read it and have come back to me and said, you know, Andy, I knew these things, but I never really clearly understood it. But after reading what this fellow's written, I've got it. I really understand it, and now I'm going to change the way I live my life. Well, I could give you examples that are in the book, but maybe the best example, and I'll take this from page, let's look here. This is page 69 in the book, just as an example. To claim your sovereign state citizenship will usually require an affidavit, and it needs to contain the following. Your domicile, and he explains that this is the same as your home address, but must be listed as your domicile. Your sovereign name and signature as actually existing on your original birth certificate, the one your mother signed. The state where and when you were born. Your claim of citizenship, and where you now have your domicile. And it should also give your sovereign status over all of the government agencies. And there's more in the book than that. There are things in here that talk about the difference between the United States territory and the United States, state lands. And living in Nevada, I know that Nevada the state only has control over 13% of the lands in our state. All the rest of it is territorial lands that belong to the federal government or to the nation as a whole. But if you talk to somebody in government, especially people in the Bureau of Land Management, what's known as the BLM, they'll tell you they own the land. Well, they really don't. But that's a whole other book. Anyway, this is an interesting book. I found it easy to read, easy to understand, but you can't speed read it. There was some parts of the book you need to digest. And whenever he references something in this book, he tells you where to go see it in the actual government documentation. The book is, I'm going to hold this book up. The book looks like this, and I'm trying to get it right here. There we go. The book is Free at Last, and technically it's a history book. It's a history book about the 14th Amendment and how that changed everything. And you say, what? The 14th Amendment? What's that got to do with this? Well, as the story goes, and you're going to love reading this thing, I can tell you. As the story goes, the 14th Amendment that freed the slaves created two classes of citizens. You got to read it. And if you do, I'd love to hear back from you. And you can email me at andy@cparumpwithandy.com. And that's not the letter C. It's as though you wrote it in English. cparumpwithandy.com. And I'd love to hear from you. So with that, next week we'll have another book. And that book will be Fiat Money, Inflation in France. You're going to love that one too.